Everybody, thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I want to just take a quick minute. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I apologize for an odd sounding voice and maybe you have to blow my nose a couple times, but the show must go on. But I wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to jump on in. I am your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, gathering insight, inspiration. It really drives and motivates these top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial. So I'm super excited about this episode. We got a very special guest and featured Titan for today, Jean Wheaton. Jean, thanks so much for being on the show, taking the time. Honored to have you, absolutely.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
This is great. So I know there's a lot of people that are in anticipation for this particular episode, so I'm really, really excited to just jump right in. So going through the series of questions, just like we address every single Titan, getting a window into who Jean is. So let's just jump right in if you're all right with that.
I'm great with that.
Cool.
Sure.
So I guess the first question is, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Who is Jean Wheaton?
Okay, well, I'm a Colorado native. I was born and raised in Denver, Colorado. I have a twin sister who lives in Colorado Springs here, and a sister that lives in North Carolina. I've been married to John, who's my husband and my partner for 35 years, if you can believe that.
Hey, John, if you're watching, he's an awesome man.
He is an amazing man. I'm very, very blessed. And we have two adult daughters, Sarah, who's married and lives currently in Chicago, with our first grandson, Augie.
Oh, great.
He's about a year and a half, and he's the love of our life.
Okay.
And then they are actually moving right now. We're going to go help them in a week or so to Washington, D.C., because she just got her dream job. She's going to be ambassador working at the U.S. embassies with the Foreign Service.
Wow.
So she and Paul and Augie will be traveling the world internationally. So John and I are going to get our traveling boots on and try to visit as often as we can. So we're really excited for that and feel very blessed for her.
Fantastic.
And then Jenna is our youngest daughter, who's also an adult and who lives up in Denver, and she's an archaeologist.
Unreal.
Yeah, she actually, we said we'd probably let her watch way too many Indiana Jones movies growing up.
That's right.
But good story. She actually found a job in her field. She loves it. She's a super fun young woman and is living the dream too. So
wow.
We're truly blessed.
Fantastic. And that's a very rich family going into that. And I just love that name, Augie. That's such it's such a great
prejudice, but
Yeah, no. So first grandchild?
First grandchild.
Okay, okay. That's...
Hopefully there'll be more, but we'll see.
Cross fingers,
yes.
Okay, so that's a really good lead into the personal side. How about the business side? So what kind of got you into the business, that sort of thing, your path that way?
Well, kind of a funny story. John and I were a young couple, living in Woodmore, had our first house, and I was doing substitute teaching, preschool teaching, things like that. And we decided, maybe this is time to move up and get into a bigger house. We lived around the corner from my parents. Family is hugely important to me. My mother and father live around the corner from where we lived.
Wonderful.
And they helped us when we first moved here and got settled into Woodmore. And I came and lived with them when John was looking for a job here and things like that. So, anyways, long story short, the economy wasn't so great right then. So, it was a typical family situation that us real estate agents see a lot, where wife wants to move, maybe the husband's not so sure, the wife starts looking.
Right.
So I worked with a wonderful agent at Remax Properties, and we looked and looked and looked, and she finally said to me, I think you ought to get into real estate. You would be a great buyer's agent, and you see all the details in the home. You love knowing about the different areas and the homes, and so I ended up, 2 days after 9/11 was my first day of real estate school.
Wow. So
I did that and was a little petrified because I had never had a job where I didn't have a steady income. By degree, I have a bachelor's in child development from Colorado State University, and then a master's degree in social work from the University of Michigan.
Wow, okay.
So I worked for many years as a social worker, did child abuse and neglect, which was, I adore children, and the children are my passion. So I did that for many years. Very rewarding, but very heart-wrenching. And then school social work when Sarah was growing up, and Jenna, and then I started teaching, preschool teaching, and taught in the schools when the kids were growing up so I could be involved in their education. So long story short, I had no idea I'd ever get into real estate.
Okay.
I mean, that was even a thing then, you know.
Wow.
When I grew up, you had pretty much the path of being as a woman. I hate to say this, but things have changed so greatly.
Sure.
My sister was a nurse, my other sister was a teacher, and I was a social worker. That's kind of what,
Wow.
the options we thought were. So
Okay.
this was a huge opportunity for me, and I'm so grateful for them to get me into this business because it has made a huge difference in our lives.
I love that, and I think that I know that everybody out there who's watching who knows you and works with you, they're probably really, really excited and glad that you got into the business because the impact that you've had in the community is fantastic. I mean,
thank
your
you.
reputation is impeccable, and everybody out there who's watching, I know they agree with me on that statement. So going into the background into real estate, what was your progression through your career? I mean, the stepping stones, if you will, for any of the maybe newer professionals that are watching this.
Well, I was like any other newbie. I was really unrealistic and
Okay.
thought that I could work part-time and have more time with other kids and plan my schedule and have weekends off. Well, that went out the door in the first 2 weeks. It's like, oh, this
Yep.
is really a full-time career.
Sure.
So I was on the team for a couple of years, and they were great mentors. And then I joined another team as I got more successful.
Okay.
And then finally, he told me, you don't need to be on a team. You should have your own team.
Wow.
So I finally went on my own and had one assistant for a while, and we did great. It was wonderful. And then in 2005, John joined me.
Oh,
And John has a
fantastic.
great background. He is a accountant. He did direct sales, marketing, did managing,
Wow.
and he is just a wonderful person relating to people. Plus, he has the financial background.
Awesome.
So we kind of have a great division because he really learned to grow our business and do it smartly. Like, for example, when I first got in, I would kind of look at what other agents were doing that were the top agents and
Right.
try to follow that.
Sure.
'Cause, so one of the things they did was be on the grocery carts, and super expensive, and we thought,
Right.
oh, that's ridiculous. And then John said, she is the top agent in this area, you need to do what she's doing. So
Right.
as soon as that agent got off the carts, he insisted we got on the carts. Well, first it was me, and then when he became licensed, I said, well, he had a funny joke about,
Okay.
I'd like to go to the Safeway, and it's the only time you get to push Gene around.
Oh, that's awesome. Good one, John. Good one.
So, anyways, long story short, he really pushed us into a lot of marketing. His business acumen of saying, if you spend $2,000 and you make 10, that's worth doing.
Agreed.
So that was really helpful.
Fantastic. And then you guys are where you're at today. So that's obviously natural progression in you doing well at what you do and your clients coming back and really speaking volumes. So, but it's hard work. It takes time. It didn't happen overnight. So, a lot of people, hopefully that resonates with everybody. It's not the easiest business by any means, but if you pay your dues and take your time, anything can happen, truly.
It's
with goals.
so rewarding. I mean, again, my passion is helping people and children and families get to where they need to be.
Okay.
And then also, starting a team, it's wonderful because I can really get my team members their dreams to come true and help them set goals and see them progress. And we've just been growing. We have a transaction coordinator who's a young woman who's wonderful, Jana Gray.
Oh, great.
And so excited to see her excel. And then we have Tricia Stack, who's been with us for many, many years, who is our listing coordinator, who's just dynamite with customer service, and all of our clients love her. And she is one of those, let me help you, I will do whatever I can to make this right.
Wow.
And she's passionate about what she does. She's wonderful. And then Lori Pitcher, who's our marketing coordinator. So I learned really early on that if you're going to grow and you're going to do a lot of business, you can't do it all yourself.
Okay.
So that's why we kind of compartmentalize to, transaction coordinator, listings coordinator, marketing coordinator. I actually have a young gal who I taught preschool to,
No
who
way.
is now my social media director part-time.
Wow.
And then we have another lady part-time that helps us. And then we have grown our team. We have Kristen Dion,
Okay.
who is an agent on our team, who's wonderful, just fantastic person. Joe Belzer, who just joined us a couple of months ago. And then Christine Martin, who's a younger millennial. So
Right.
it's really fun having the mix of the seasoned,
Sure.
aged agents,
Sure.
as well as the new millennial agents.
Right.
So, and we learned so much from each other, and we're like a family. It's kind of fantastic.
Sure, and I think you're putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and you're learning strengths and weaknesses, and putting those people around you that everybody can succeed. I think that, and that's an echoing note through a lot of Titans through episodes, is we're not doing it alone.
Right.
So I love that you mentioned that, Jean. So let's tail into a slightly different question, and I think this is good timing for it. What's your why? What really drives you and motivates you to do what you do to the level that you do it at, Jean?
Well, knowing me, people know I'm pretty much a driver and a perfectionist,
Okay.
and I like to win.
Awesome.
I'm very competitive, but I also like to do whatever I do very well.
Love it.
If I'm going to help somebody, whether it's with, a school social work situation back in the day or buying a house now, I want to be the best I can be at it, and I want my team to be the best. So our motto is exceptional service, extraordinary results.
Wow.
And we really believe in helping people achieve their goals. This is the biggest financial transaction most people do.
Right.
And so we take it very seriously, and we want to be well-educated, good listeners, and make this process as seamless as possible for them.
And I think that's a lot of beautiful notes in there as far as your why, and being a perfectionist and a goal setter and a driver, but also giving back and caring for people. All that culminates into success, and not just financial success in transactions, but building relationships and friendships, and helping other people grow, which you stated. So I thought that was fantastic, when it comes down to it. So let's go into a different question to maybe give some advice to some of the other professionals that are watching, whether they're new or seasoned. So let's look back at your career thus far. If you could pick one or two things that you added or adjusted to your business that took it from one level to the next, what does that look like for you?
Probably the most important thing we did was hire a coach.
Okay.
We are working with the Tom Ferry coaching system now.
Great.
And that's really helped us become more focused, time block our days, learn to delegate, track our numbers, run the business more like a business, and just be more professional.
Okay.
So coaching is, it holds you accountable, which is really wonderful.
Right.
And I learn something new every day. The coach we have is so wise, and he's brilliant at just giving you the words you need to say in different situations.
And that's huge, because you can get outward perspective. And again, I think that a lot of people, they look at, top producers and professionals, they're self-motivating, they drive themselves. But everybody needs a little help. Everybody needs a little push from time to time, or even just a little perspective. So
Right.
I think that that's kind of where you guys are at now with Tom, because fantastic coach and everything that's going on that way as far as organization. Was there a certain thing or something that really stood out? Because there are other real estate professional coaches. So is there anything that really stuck out to you about Tom Ferry and the program that way?
Just the mindset. They really work on changing your mindset and really making you accountable to your goals. Practicing scripts and dialogues, and just learning to be the best you can be.
Okay.
And expanding your horizons and thinking outside the box and being creative. So it's exciting to me. It's very dynamic. He's he reminds me of you. He's very energetic and very thought-provoking, and his whole organization. The other one is Debbie Holloway she's another coach with the system, and she started this WIRE group, which Women in Real Estate.
Wonderful.
And so on Facebook, you can join that group, and she gives great tips to, you don't even have to be a coaching client of hers, but she'll share, she wants to really empower women to do better in business.
I love that. And
really great person about giving back.
Okay, and just so everybody knows, I'll definitely put all the links and everything that we're talking about so that you can go and join that group if that's possible, if you need more information. So that's a really good share. Hopefully everybody was taking notes on that one. When it comes down to it, coaches, I mean, that's been a reoccurring deal throughout the Titan series, is motivating and bringing other people, smarter people that are really pushing you to other levels. That really does matter. And I know that there's a lot of professionals out there that might be on the fence to say, oh gosh, that's expensive. That's a lot of money that way, because they're not cheap.
No, it's not cheap.
but the difference in impact. I mean, obviously that's what you just shared. So hopefully everybody takes that, with their business. If it's a time, they want to take it up, that's something that you guys did, and it was great.
Right.
So let's go into the slightly different question into this. And now this one ends up being the tricky question, if you will, the challenges. I think that we all can go through life when it's simple, when things are easy, they're very smooth sailing. But when the speed bumps or walls block us, the challenges that we deal with, that really makes or breaks us. So if you could look back on your life thus far, Jean, to share one challenge that you dealt with that was difficult, that you overcame, that made you stronger because of it, what does that look like for you?
Well, I think the one that sticks out, well, there's two, one in the past and one currently, and deals with family.
Okay.
When my mother died as I was first getting into real estate, and I was very close and tight with my mother, and
Sure.
they lived around the corner from us and that kind of thing. And I remember being on the phone doing a real estate transaction with her neighbor across the street while I'm getting ready for a funeral and all of that kind of stuff. So, I miss her every day still. She was the most wonderful, caring, loving person who, I just have so many great memories of. So just dealing with tragedy, but still having to deal with your business and go through it. And now what's helped me with that too is having the team.
Okay.
So that, when now we have people in place, if you have something like that, like Kristen just adopted a 3-year-old daughter, Anna from China, who was just spectacular. But she could go and deal with that and be gone for 3 weeks, and the team could take over her clients seamlessly and make every transaction go smoothly. Joe right now is going through his daughter's having surgery, so we just need to be there for each other, and that's why I say our team's like family too. And currently, John and I, my father, who's going to be 93 next week,
wow,
has dementia,
okay,
and it's getting progressively a little bit worse. He's great still, but we realized it wasn't safe for him to live alone.
Okay.
So together with our family, we decided that we needed to step up, and so we sold our house and have moved in with him to help him. And so we have, wonderful women from our church that take care of him during the day, a couple hours, and then we have mornings and evenings and weekends. But it's a blessing to him, it's a blessing to us, because, we get to spend more time with him in his last years. And it can be challenging. Some days it's like having a 2-year-old.
Right.
But it's very rewarding, and it's kind of funny. We just remodeled our house like 5 years ago to get, Sarah was getting married and all this stuff. And so now we're back to shag carpet and avocado bathrooms. And we're really gone retro. But you realize it's not about things. It's about your people and your family, and that's what's most important in life.
Wow, Jean, that's a really huge share. So thank you so much for doing that. I know it's not easy. Talking about family, our parents, siblings or children. I mean, that's one of the hardest things that I can imagine to deal with that way. But again, I think that you echoed to hopefully a lot of people out there that it's about support, and you're not alone through these things, and you're doing the best you can, spending time with people who you love and care for. Life is short. Right. And I think that a lot of professionals, especially in the Titan realm, I mean, they're very driven, they're very motivated, and a lot of times the balance is not there. It's work, transactions. So it really is beautiful to see that there are top producers and professionals out there that really do care about their family, and they have their priorities straight. So that's a huge share. So hopefully everybody got that out there. That's a big thing. So thanks for sharing that. It's not easy airing out your laundry for everybody. So, but let's go to a slightly softer question, if that's all right. And this is actually one of my favorites. So if you could travel back in time and give yourself a piece of advice or two in any time frame in your life, personally and professionally, what would you say to younger Jean?
Worry less and enjoy life more.
Okay, sure, easy enough, right?
Just keep it simple and enjoy every moment, because you never do know what tomorrow brings. Learn to say no. Family comes first.
Right.
Prioritize, but figure out a way to make it so that if you do that, you still take care of your clients, because that's what's most important to me.
Sure.
Is taking really good care of our clients. So, and even our younger team members, when they have a difficult issue or they get really stressed out,
Sure.
I'm like, no one's dying. It's going to be okay. Let's all take a deep breath and let's problem solve together, because that's really what we do in this job. We're major problem solvers.
Right.
And let's anticipate problems, and let's figure out how we can make this a win-win for everybody.
I love that. And I think that prioritizing, not sweating the small stuff, putting things in order, I think is great. Just saying no from time to time when that's the right thing to say. I think a lot of people can take that advice away. It's not easy to do so, but it is so liberating. And if you're saying it for the right reasons, hey, family's first, taking care of my clients. If I don't have time, I don't have time. I can't do that, but maybe later. I think that that's huge advice for everybody to take away, not just young Jean, but everybody. So that was super, super good stuff. Now let's go into kind of the feeding of the mind question, which I think is really great for a lot of other professionals or just consumers who are watching this, is kind of what you've been feeding your mind over the time, you've been in the business and just in your life. So, books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to, influencers on social media or motivational speakers, anything sticks out to you that way?
Well, I'm in the middle of reading the book Bold right now by Peter Diamandis, and it's really about, it's fascinating to me, it's really about entrepreneurs and what makes them successful and the exponential change that's going to occur over the next 10 to 15 years in our lifetime.
Wow.
And what with our artificial intelligence and sensors and, looking at like what happened to Eastman Kodak, where we had the Kodak moments. And the CEOs would not look at, digital photography is going to take over the world, and like, oh, that's going to take 20 years from now, blah, blah, blah. Well, 5 years after that, they were out of business.
Sure.
So, it makes me think about real estate and how that is going to change over the next 5 to 10 years and how we need to adapt. Because if you don't adapt, you're going to be left behind.
Right.
So that's been fascinating to me.
Okay, very cool.
And then podcasts, this is kind of a silly one, but I love Wait, Don't Tell Me on NPR.
Oh, no way.
It
no
makes
way.
me laugh out loud.
Okay.
I can go walking, put my plugs in, and just, it just really relaxes me.
Sure,
And
sure.
it's current events and stuff, and it's funny, and I love that. I love Simon Sinek, his podcasts are great.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
There's so many, yeah.
There really is. And I love that you touched on physical books as well as podcasts. I think that as long as professionals or individuals are just feeding their mind in whatever way they can take it, either reading, watching, or listening, we should just be bettering ourselves all day, every day, never stop learning.
Absolutely.
So I think that that's some great stuff. And again, everybody, I'm going to have those in the links in the comment below so you can feed your mind the same way Jean feeds hers. So that's really good stuff. So any other adds to that, or are you good with the books, podcasts?
I think that's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So last question. This has been awesome, Jean. Again, thank you so much. But the last question that we have here to really sum everything up, if you could break your brand down, not just business-wise, but personally, with a mantra that you live by or a quote, what does that look like for Jean Wheaton?
Well, this is the one I've always, it's been my favorite. I heard it years ago when I first started. It was Maya Angelou's quote.
Okay.
People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
Oh, I love that.
And I take that when I go into a listing presentation, whatever. It's really important to just be present with the people you're with right now, and make them feel important because they are important.
Right.
The other one I love that my millennials gave me is talk less, listen more. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's such a good one.
So those are kind of the.
And
And never give up. That's my other mantra. Never give up.
You heard it here first, everybody. This is Jean Wheaton's mantras. I think that there's a lot of great stuff into there. I love the way you make people feel is so important. I think that there's so many people that are not in the moment with so much technology and things that are adjusting. And I'm a tech nut, don't get me wrong. But to be with somebody when you're with them, so many people lose it. Unplug your phones, put them aside for a little bit with family, with clients, whatever the case may be. You're not going to die. The world's not going to explode or end if you take a half hour or an hour out of your day that way. So I think that that's some beautiful advice into there too, is making sure that you're in the moment.
So true.
So that's great stuff, Jean. Thanks again so much. So I want to officially say you are a real estate titan in my book. This has been
so much.
an awesome interview, chock full of awesome information. So Thanks again, everybody, for taking the time and attention, support and love for the show. I really, really appreciate you all. We are going to be live, as always, every Tuesday and Friday afternoons, a different Titan, a different location. Again, thank you so much for all your support, and we will catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.
Thank you, Greg.